I married Bonnie in 2014, which was 2 years after her husband of 47 years had passed away from cancer. We postponed our honeymoon for a year because of health reasons, and we had designed a trip of a lifetime, a cruise ship out of Venice for 14 days, including stops in Croatia and Greece and the Greek Isles and Turkey. A wonderful trip. To practice for the cruise, we practiced dancing. Bonnie had always wanted to learn how to dance, but whenever she took lessons from a dance teacher, she and Fred would fight with each other. So Bonnie didn't think I was going to be able to teach her to dance, but she really wanted to try. I wasn't too worried. Decades ago, I taught country western dance. Country western is kind of close to ballroom, kind of not, but close enough that you can dance to the same music. And plus, it's a whole lot easier to teach one beginner how to dance with a teacher than it is to teach two beginners how to dance with each other. So Bonnie learned the Texas two-step and the cha-cha and East Coast swing and a couple of line dances. But her favorite, by a long shot, was the waltz. That old 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 dance with lots of spins, lots of twirls. We kept for the basic beginner steps. She was a 70-year-old lady at this point. Old dogs, new tricks, all that's true. And when she went through a spin, she's supposed to take 3 steps, as in 1, 2, 3. That puts her on the correct foot coming out so I can pick her up again and we can go waltzing away. But for whatever reason, Bonnie put in 4 steps. She would go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that would put her on the wrong foot. We spent 10 hours trying to cure her of this, and we couldn't. So whenever she went in a spin, I just added an extra step on for me. So we got back together again. Nobody knew the difference. We were happy. What's the problem? A couple weeks before the cruise, Bonnie gets weepy because she remembers that this would have been hers and Fred's 50th anniversary. And they were planning to go to Europe for their anniversary. And now she was getting married at such a late stage in life, she's never going to have a real 50th anniversary of her own. So I said, no problem. We'll just tell people that this is our 50th wedding anniversary. How are they going to know? They'll be really nice to us. It's not going to hurt anybody. So let's do it. Bonnie says, great. Part of our flight was on Air France to Paris. We started out our reception by, I was telling the stewardess, this is our 50th anniversary and we've never been to Europe before. We are so excited. Stewardess, being French, knew exactly what to do to lovers. She gave us 2 complimentary splits of champagne. Now, Bonnie thought this was great. Bonnie always tells the truth, but this deception was kind of like James Bond. This is kind of exciting. So we get to the ship and they dance in the atrium, which is a pretty central place in the ship. And I tell the singer that 50th anniversary, our favorite song is the dance, and our favorite song is a waltz, and we need to do a little bit slow because we're old. Is there any chance she knows this song at this tempo? Could I have this dance for the rest of my life? Now, Shelley said she only knew the song. She not only knew the song, but she could sing it on key. So every night for the first 14, Shelley says, here's our golden anniversary couple, Bob and Bonnie, dancing their song. And so we trot out there and we would do our waltz. Sometimes other people would join us. Sometimes we'd be by ourselves. Bonnie would have this big smile on her face, and I would say sweet nothings in her ear, trying not to move my lips, saying, right, 2, 3, left, 2, 3, right, 2, 3. And we got through it and everything was great. Everybody saw us dancing. And so they would come up to us in the passageways of the ship and say, what an inspiration. We've been married 50 years and we're still holding hands. Isn't that really great? We just smile and everything's fine. On the morning, we got to Piraeus, which is the port outside of Athens, Greece. We were eating breakfast, get ready to go on shore. And this other couple comes up to us and starts talking to us. We got a lot of that on the ship. We were the golden anniversary couple. Nothing bothered us. So the woman said that this was their second cruise. Their first one had been to Hawaii. Well, Bonnie said, I lived in Hawaii in the mid-'80s. My husband, who was in the Air Force, was at the Air Force Base in Honolulu. So we lived there for several years. Now, this is all true, but Bonnie's talking about Fred, not Bob. When Bonnie talks about her memories from the good old days and says, my husband, she means Fred. She never gets confused on this. She always says Fred. And she kind of expects everybody else to catch up with her. Well, sometimes I correct people, but this time I really couldn't because we're representing that we've been married since 1965 together. So this Air Force officer who in the mid-'80s, that had to be me. So I'm waiting for the inevitable question of, Bob, what did you do in the Air Force? I kind of know, but not really. So I do my own dance move and said, well, even though that was 30 years ago, it's still classified and I can't tell you. I would if I could, but I can't. But by the way, when we get to Piraeus, we're taking the train and getting off at the Acropolis stop, and we're going up the hill and looking at the Parthenon and all the other old buildings. What are you doing today? Fortunately, they took my cue and never mentioned the Air Force again. We get back to the room and I said, Bonnie, we're trying to deceive people. We're trying to pretend like this is our 50th anniversary. You can't be saying Fred. And so Bonnie promised she would never do it again. But of course, it was worthless. Bonnie is always going to tell the truth. That's just one of the character flaws she has. Now, Bonnie has a lot of character flaws, but she's still the love of my life, and it took me decades to find her. And we're going to make our own 50th anniversary so long as we both live to be 120 years old. Thank you.